Rowing, without a doubt, is one of the hardest sports. Some would even go as far to say that it is the hardest sport. Using 86% of the muscles in the human body, rowing is very demanding not only physically but mentally. Today we will be sitting down to have a discussion with hydro athlete Nick Karwoski about how to get through one of the most toughest pieces in all of rowing, the 2,000 meter erg test. All right, so hello and welcome to our first episode of Motivus Sports. We're here today with hydro athlete and former U.S. national triathlon member Nick Karwoski. So Nick, just like tell us a little bit about yourself besides that, like stuff you're interested in.
Yeah, sure. I graduated college in 2010. I pretty much thought that I was done with my athletic career, was moving out to Los Angeles, had the job lined up that I wanted to do, and kind of just trained on the side as a runner. Was doing road races out in Los Angeles. Just trying to have some fun with running. Ended up getting faster than what I was at college, and so it was like, all right, well, let's see what you can do with this. And so I started running some more road races and figured I'd give a 2012 trials a go, focusing on the steeplechase, and then got this kind of groin injury that put me on the sideline and ended up having to take about a year and a half off from running, which was a little bit of a bummer. But yeah, from New Hampshire, that led me to all sorts of opportunities and startups, and from New Hampshire, and now working for Hydro, living in Boston, but rarely in Boston, traveling a good amount. Just got back from Japan, and yeah.
Nice. So you said you enjoyed your trip to Japan. What was it like there?
It was pretty wild. It's I don't know if you've ever been over there. I'd never been to Asia. As a professional triathlete, traveled to about 18, 17 different races in like 12 different countries, a lot of Europe, a lot of South America, and then in North America. But had never been to Asia, and I mean, the language is completely different, not something you can really pick up. So the hydro team, I mean, we had a fixer, we had on the production side, we had a translator, we had a boat person, we had a driver. They drive on the other side of the road there. So there was just a lot of different things that kind of went into the production of the whole trip. Making sure we could get boats that fit all the athletes, making sure that we could film on the right days, that the weather lined up. We were rowing on this lake called Lake Kawaguchi that was right in front of Mount Fuji, and then we got to spend a couple days in Tokyo. So yeah, it was really wild just to kind of explore that culture, meet some people, walk around the city. To think that there's got a couple of runs in there on the streets there, and everything is so clean. To think that there's 22 million people living in a very small city that's just packed with very little crime. Was a very cool experience. So hopefully that'll show not only in the content that we film for the workouts for Hydro, but also in the B-roll and experiences that we can use to talk about that moving forward.
Nice. I can't wait to check out those videos. So
Yeah, it should be cool.
yeah, like especially Mount Fuji in the background there, man. That's awesome. So, for those of you who don't know, Hydro is this connective fitness rowing machine, similar to like the Concept 2 rower, but you have the option to train with workouts guided by Hydro athletes like Nick. So, I wanted to ask, like, what specifically brought you to Hydro and what you got you, interested in working with them?
Yeah, so back in 2018, I was working at Equinox, this gym out in Los Angeles. I mean, it's a national chain gym. People have probably heard of it. And there was this woman that was taking the running class that I was coaching, and she was telling me about this company. Her mom was on the board of US Rowing and was kind of telling me about this thing that this guy was creating, that was like similar to Peloton, but all of the content that they were looking to do was all outside on the water. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. So I applied and got an interview and flew out to Boston to kind of do this little um, on rowing interview. So I just had to like row on a boat and kind of lead a workout. And I rowed in high school a little bit, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, all sweep rowing. I'd never really sculled before. And so I was like, I'll figure it out. And so in the month between when I got the interview and when I was going out to actually do the interview, I kind of hopped in a single a couple times and flipped a couple times and was like, I'll figure it out. And so then when I made my way to Boston to do the interview with Hydro, which at the time was called Crew by True Rowing, it was a mouthful. And jumped in the single, had the mics on, had the cameras on the boat, and I had only ever rowed in a stern rigged boat, and this was a bow rigged boat, and so I had kind of let go of my oar handle to go start the stroke coach, and as I did that, the oar went parallel to the boat, and the whole boat just flipped over completely, and so that did not go ideally. And I was like, well, I wasn't expecting much from this. I had a wedding that I was going to that I was coming east for as well with the interview. And I was like, all right, well, I did my best. And the next day they called and offered me the position. And that was in August of or July of 2018. And now it's been 4.5, almost 5 years of having gone to 45 different locations around the world, filming in different bodies of water, uh, kind of growing the production side of what Hydro is, traveling around, bringing stories, bringing experiences, motivating members, helping to grow the company over the past 4.5, 5 years. We've raised about 250 million to date, and things have it's been very cool kind of seeing for the hardware side of how we build the Hydro, the software side of how the engineers make the software talk to the video and the content that we produce. Obviously the content side, you have customer service side, and then you have marketing team. So it's kind of 5 umbrellas under one, and just kind of learning how we can all operate together a little more synergetically and ultimately get more and more people joining the Hydro community. So it's been a cool 5 years. Ended up meeting my wife through Hydro as well, or that I'm getting married in September to another Hydro athlete. So yeah, it's been a pretty wild experience.
Yeah, that's great to hear, man. Very nice. I mean, the thing to me, at least, that makes Hydra really special is the option to train while watching and listening, to these athletes. And what I really admire about you in these videos is like the energy you bring to the workout. I mean, it really makes the experience a lot more fun for those at home. So I wanted to ask, like, what kinds of things maybe you do to warm up for this stuff and bring hype to these workouts, if you have a certain routine you like to follow before filming, production, stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, it depends, right? So, like we said, we just got back from Japan, and ideally, if I could erg for a little bit beforehand, if I'm going out on the water for an hour to film a couple of workouts, like 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is. Typically, we do 2 workouts back to back. So one of them will be live and one of them will be on demand. Anything from, like I said, 5 minutes to an hour. If I can hop on a on land rowing machine, a Hydro, and get a 5K in to warm up, roll my back out a little bit, do some mobility drills, get some type of cardio in beforehand, and then a lot of stretching. Sometimes there's a lot of in between filming stuff, adjusting cameras, adjusting mics, have to get to a different part of the body of water to make it a little flatter. It depends if we're filming first thing in the morning. So our call time in Japan was pretty much at 4 a.m. We tried to go at first light, which is, sunrise was right around a little after 5 a.m. So your body's waking up. You need to kind of, if you're a caffeine or coffee drinker, you need to kind of time that stuff. It depends on what the workout levels are. We have 3 different levels: breathe, sweat, and a drive. A breathes are more or less steady state. Sweats are kind of, anything between 18 and 26 strokes per minute. And then a drive can go, up to 32, 34 strokes per minute. So really depends on what the intensity of the workout is, what's the duration of the workout. Am I in a single or a double? What's the purpose of this workout? Is it a little more story focused? So do I have my talking points kind of aligned, or is it just a really hard workout and let's just go all out and make sure that we're feeling good? I typically like the ones that are a little harder workouts so that I can get a great workout, but also, row fast in a boat. It depends on what's happening behind us. If the camera operator, if Mount Fuji's over my right shoulder, I want to make sure that I'm kind of turning a little bit so that I can aim at whatever it is that we're trying to get in the background. So it's aesthetically pretty cool to look at. Is what I'm saying matching? Is the bigger point kind of coming together with what I'm saying and what the workout is? So yeah, there's a lot of honestly, I haven't thought too much of it because it's just kind of second nature at this point. But yeah, you plan out a lot of what you want to say, a lot of what you want your message to be, a lot of what the motivational aspect of it is. You got to have the right energy. So, if the crew is going through something, you kind of got to put your headphones in and just put your blinders on and make sure that you're focused. If someone used your boat, which is rare, make sure that it's all set up to your specifications. And yeah, just kind of go into it with hoping that every stroke is better than the last, that hopefully you're not going to flip. That's always always in the back of your mind. But yeah, just really trying to have as much fun as possible, because if you're not having fun, it's probably showing on camera, and that's probably going to show up on the member side of things and see like, oh, what's going on with Nick today. So yeah, just trying to bring fun, because if you're not having fun, the chances that the person's going to have fun is limited. And working out in general is work. It's not necessarily fun. So in order to make habits and discipline of it, you need to kind of make, my mantra is always kind of make it as fun as possible so that you can come back the next day and get after it again.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. It's great to make this stuff as fun as possible. There was one thing I wanted to discuss with you. I think we talked about on Instagram a bit. I mean, I believe you were ranked number 9 in country as a triathlete. Obviously, you are very mentally capable of working hard. But one of the most common and well-known things that like every rower will encounter will be the 2,000 meter erg, right? So it's very well known, infamous really as a test for endurance, power, and sheer mental will as well as a big aspect of it. So like with the 2K being a more intense workout, I would like to know like what kind of mental preparation do you have for such a difficult task?
Yeah, having done sprint and Olympic distance triathlons and a lot of road races, a lot of miles on my legs, I know certainly what it's like to race. And I think for a 2,000 meter, which is arguably one of the hardest physical feats that I think that you can push your body through, I think strategies is crucial. 2,000 meters can go by very quickly, between 5 minutes and 45 seconds for some of the best rowers in the world to 8 minutes if you're holding a 2-minute split, or a 9-minute split. That doesn't matter. It's still a very challenging event, but having some type of strategy, having some type of plan, it can really help break those strokes down. So at the end of it, it might be between 200 and 250 strokes to get through a 2K, depending on how fast or hard you're going. But in reality, if you can break the first 250 300 meters down, and then have a middle 500 where you're at a 28 with a goal pace in mind, bump it up to a 30 for 10 strokes, settle back at a 28, go back up to a 30, and then sprint it home at a 32 34, whatever you can do. If you break it down so that you have some element of a plan, that I think is crucial. I work with a lot of different clients and kind of coach them on exactly that, not only a 2K, but 20-minute, a 6K, what they're trying to do. So depending on what the goal is, what you're trying to accomplish, having some type of split marks planned out is really going to help you execute that. So instead of just sitting down and ripping as hard as you can go, even breaking it up in, okay, the first 500 I want to do this, next 500 is this, third 500, and then 2 by 250 at the end. Having some type of plan, whether it's just written in sticky notes, posted next to you on the machine, or you and your coach that you've worked through that, or you and a teammate that you're doing something, having some type of strategy to approach a 2K is typically going to yield the best, fastest result.
Yeah, totally. I mean, a lot of people who've done the 2K will say that the most challenging part of the whole thing is that like 500, the third 500 meter mark in there. That's
Yep.
like typically where those buttons in your head really start getting pushed, and your brain might be telling you, this really doesn't feel great. I'd like to stop now. So I'd like to know, like, What kinds of things are you thinking like during this third 500 mark, or are you just like so locked into it that you're just focusing on the rhythm, moving up and down the slide or something?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think rowing is such a brutally demanding physiological sport where your heart is pumping, your lungs are pumping, everything is working hard. You're using your whole body. Uh, that third 500 sets in, and I feel like at the third 500, you kind of know, do I have what it takes to accomplish the goal, the split that I'm trying to hit, or am I off? And if you're off, let's readjust and kind of in that moment, you just give yourself a new target to hit. But if you're on, it's a weird combination of this feels good because I'm executing the plan, but also this is the most painful thing that I could experience. So yeah, I think in rowing, every stroke matters. Form and technique is super important. So making sure that you're, reminding yourself of the basics, sitting up tall, relaxing your shoulders, keeping your core as tight as possible, making sure that your arms are extended out, that you're not breaking those arms, those elbows early, pressing, fully compressing, getting your chest close to your quads as that rhythm starts to, as that stroke rate starts to go up, maybe not being as long in your stroke, and really just kind of every stroke breaking it down. Let's just get through the next 5 strokes. Let's just get through the next 3 strokes, and just really, really focused on that split. 2,000 meters, you're defined by a time, and in distance running, endurance sports in general, you're defined by a time. So making sure that you can do everything in your power to hit that time, one stroke after the next, and just really, really trying to find that flow state. Having someone next to you, having someone coaching you, especially during that third 500, definitely makes a huge difference. So
Yeah, totally. So moving a little bit more into the general category, like away from rowing, with all the things you've accomplished in your life, is it safe to say that having perseverance and pushing through things that are hard and seeing the progress develops character?
yeah, that's definitely fair to say. I mean, I don't know how much I've accomplished in my life. I appreciate that, but yeah, I think life is always going to throw stuff at you. It's full of obstacles, full of challenges. You just got to kind of get back up and keep going. I had cancer when I was young, so I only have one eye. I had heart surgery a couple of years ago. I think one of the things that going through heart surgery right after I started with hydro kind of made me realize was that everyone has something. Everyone knows someone who's had a challenge or cancer or something, and I think that like the more you can remind yourself of that, the more you can not get upset, not get frustrated, not be so hard on yourself. Just put the work in. I think working out for me is a little bit of a stress reliever, is a lot of a stress reliever. So making sure that I make the time for that every day is going to make that day a little bit better. It allows me to relate to a lot of people. I think that perseverance is huge. If no matter what your challenges are, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, no matter where you are in your life, high school, college, competitive, high performance athletics, there's always going to be challenges. So you just kind of got to put your left foot in front of your right. Everyone gets dressed the same way. It's there's no shortcut. But yeah, you got to have fun with it, and I think that's what I try to bring, at least in this weird job that is hydro, where people know a version of me, an athletic version of me, and I love connecting with people, and really hearing their story and figuring out a way that I can make it just 1% better. So perseverance is huge, discipline is huge, building habits is very important. But yeah, I think setting goals and putting things on a timeline that is not only put yourself in an uncomfortable position at times, but allows you to kind of work towards something is going to make you stronger as you move forward.
Yeah, totally, man. So for one last thing, I just wanted to ask you, um, what's the best piece of advice you'd say a coach has given you? It could be about anything, really.
Um, my coach from college, Don Nichter, he was the cross country coach at Dickinson. He still is. He'll be at 40 years It was a division 3 school. I think he at times believed in me more than I believed in myself. He had this email, his signature of the email was, the journey is measured in meters, the journey is measured in sleepless nights, the journey is measured in all these different things. It was like 15 things that was listed. But I think the takeaway is that the journey is the destination. A lot of times people work towards something very particular, and you do everything that you can every day to work towards this one thing. But ultimately, that one thing isn't the thing that you're going for, and isn't the thing that you should be looking forward to. It's taking stock of yourself every day when you're doing that, enjoying the process, really enjoying the journey that you're on to accomplish the goal. Because if you're not enjoying the little things that help you get along the way towards the big thing, it's going to be harder to appreciate that big thing when you finally do accomplish it. And when you do accomplish it, you got to move that goalpost back. You got to set a new goal. So yeah, the journey is the destination. Comes from my coach Don Nichter in college at Dickinson. That always kind of, at the time, we may have made fun of, and because of how long the email signature was, but in reality, it definitely means a lot and carries through with me to this day. So yeah.
Journey is destination. Yeah, I really like that mantra, man. I mean, I can't imagine how long that signature would be, but it's still very motivating.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's been really great talking with you, man. I really appreciate you coming on here and doing this with me. Definitely to get this kicked off. So I wish you a good rest of your day, and thank you so much once again for coming on here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Asher. It was great. A pleasure talking with you.
All right, have a good one, man.
You too.